Shut up and sit down.
I'm not looking for laughter. I want groans.
I want to put my watch on my belt, but I realized it was a waste of time.
I am riding my bike down the street of cobblestone.
My friend texted his girlfriend Ruth and broke up with her. Man, he's ruthless.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Heffler, and Jake Von During. Silence is golden. Unless you have kids, then silence is suspicious.
I burned my Hawaiian pizza today. I should have had it on a aloha temperature. Someone just stole my mood ring. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I went to a party last night and everybody had a cold. Yo, it was freaking sick. I was trying to figure out how lightning works, and then it struck me.
I am riding my bike down the street of cobblestone.
Okay, it's fine. Why don't you take a seat? You look a little tired.
I'm too tired. Like a bicycle. What is happening to me?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Heffler.
Lance Romance, right here in Jake's
Pop-up studio.
The pop-up studio, yep.
Yeah. This is the old location. We haven't been here.
It's the OG podcast.
When did we have the podcast here?
We did one like 5 or 6 weeks ago?
We did one.
was
It was
I here?
more
I mean,
like
it was-
4 months ago. But
No, it wasn't that
was
long
probably
ago.
a long time ago.
It was this year, but it wasn't that long ago.
I don't know.
And then before that, when we used to do it regularly here, it was like 2 years ago.
That was
It's been a while.
it was 2020, and it was just before COVID started.
Because it's whenever you switched over to
Yep.
the new location, the old location.
The new old location. Yeah, so it's been a minute since we've been in here. So we just couldn't get all of our schedules coordinated. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring the stuff home. We'll just do it from the comforts of the old office.
We're recording very late. Normally we get this out on a Wednesday afternoon, and it is 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, and we're finally recording.
We
it.
usually record it on Monday so
Yeah.
that it goes out on Wednesday. So yeah.
But it was
And
Memorial Day.
By we record it. It's all Jake. Jake does all the work.
Jake does everything.
It was Memorial Day.
And we were all doing
No one
family
even,
stuff.
there was no talk of podcast on Memorial
No,
Day. It was busy.
wasn't. Yeah.
People, it's
Stuff and things.
been a busy couple of days.
To Mr. Lance Heffler's right. That's Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look exhausted. You look like your body battery is low.
My Garmin battery is at an 8.
That's like record low because I think that's basically, I don't think it ever zeroes out. I think it gets basically down to 5% and then it just is
it
like,
does zero out, but
you've
you're
seen
dead.
zero?
You're dead.
You're
But
dead.
you're dead. So I'm 8% away from death, apparently. It's been a week. We'll get to that. To Matt's right, we have filling in for
Evan Price.
Evan Price.
We don't have Evan Price. Evan Price usually asks, "What are y'all drinking?" Remember that used to be his catchphrase.
We have Zeke
Zeke the Wonder Pup.
Super Zeker Doodle.
The Super Zeker Doodle.
You can look that up on Instagram, too. That's a real thing.
Super Zeker Doodle is a real thing.
He has his own Instagram
good
account.
note.
I think I follow his Instagram account.
Yeah. Zeke, when was the last time you posted something?
Been a while.
It's been a minute, so. Cool. Hey, how about we do some backpilling? Lance, I usually start with you, so we're going to start with Matt this week.
Perfect.
Matt.
That's good. I have been swimming a lot, which, obviously I'm not going to be running for a little while. Achilles surgery, if you guys have not heard here. But, so I have been in the pool, I think like 6 days per week the past 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I know.
You're in the pool every day. Good for you.
It's something.
It is something.
But the problem is I get my one thing done and then I neglect the biking. And so today I didn't swim and got on the indoor trainer right before coming here.
Oh, good for you.
Yep. Still sweating. Still sweating.
Beating up a little bit.
Yep.
How's Zwift doing? Zwift?
Well,
Or did you cancel Zwift?
no, I didn't. I'm on Zwift and
Okay.
I put it on like 100 watts because I'm not supposed to push it too hard. I think if I
You
were
put it on erg mode, 100 watts?
yeah,
That's smart.
I do like the workout thing, so it ramps up to 150 and then it drops down to 100 and then I just sit at 100 and I watch Stranger Things is what I'm watching right now.
Yeah,
Wow.
season 4 is out, right?
Season 4.
I watched like the first 3 episodes of season 3, and I just kind of fell off for some reason.
Yep. you can't get into it, you can't get into it.
No, I watched 1 and
watched-
2. Yeah,
okay.
they were good. Season 3 just didn't captivate me. Did it get good? Did it get better?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm desperate for something to watch, and so I'm all in. Like I'm enjoying it, but it's also hard because I've been busy like editing videos and stuff like that, so I haven't had really a lot of time to watch it. And so the only time is like get on the trainer, do an hour, watch a show.
Sure,
it's good. It's good. I'm living the dream.
Excellent.
Nice.
Although the weather's been so nice that it's like it's not great to not be going outside.
It's
but
been in the upper 70s for like 3 days, which is just fantastic.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
Finally.
I am going to have to do some outside riding because there's some fun stuff to test, and I'm just excited to, go outside. And even if I do shorter rides, it'll be super fun.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Backpedal.
I had a hellish week last week. Right after we recorded the podcast on Monday, so this is like 10 days ago, and I went out after we were done, got in the van, and immediately got hit by a wave of fatigue that didn't leave me for 5 days. I went home and basically laid in bed for 5 days. So I was terribly sick all week. Did not feel good. I COVID tested 3 times. They all came back negative. I didn't have any congestion issues.
Just tired.
I don't know.
There's the flu is going around actually.
I did have a fever. I had like 101 fever for
I bet you had
for
the flu.
4 of those days, but I had no stomach issues, no congestion. I don't know, whatever.
Did you poop your pants?
I never pooped my pants.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a step up then.
It's a
that's
step
better
up.
That's
That's
better
better
than
than the
usual.
week before.
Yeah, way better.
So, so I lost the whole week. I didn't leave my bedroom hardly at all. I would move from the bedroom, to the couch until the couch got too sweaty, and then back to the bedroom. You know the routine when you're not feeling well. So I did that. Because of that, I did not race Sisters Stampede, the one race I was kind of really looking forward to. It was a mountain bike race out in Sisters, Oregon, and I did not feel well enough to go, so I didn't go. So that was it. I put up I went out one day on my bike because I thought I felt better. I didn't. That was dumb. I rode 4 miles and then went and collapsed.
You really are. Done.
I was done. Yeah.
What about today?
Actually, it is Wednesday, and I started to feel better on Sunday, and so I have ridden Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Yesterday, I did the gravel ride. I went really hard. My heart rate is way too high right now, so I'm still having some effects of whatever I had. But I still rode really hard with the gravel group.
Was it just perfectly dry out there?
There was a few muddy, sloppy spots, but that's kind of par for the
Not
course
bad.
still for this
Well,
time of year.
I thought I saw you guys go through some like massive like creek bed or something.
Yeah, I
that
posted
might be an old video.
No, I posted a video that Jake took on Instagram. There's a greenway near the Washougal River that has a walking and a bike path through it.
Yeah.
That was flooded, and I rode through it, and it was like 15 inches deep.
So when they release a lot of the water in the Columbia from the upper dams and whatnot,
Oh yeah.
it basically floods that area out, and it will go from this little walking bridge will be 1.5 feet, 2 feet above ground.
Yeah.
And yesterday was about 16 or 17 inches underwater.
Yeah.
And Lance is like, I'm going to go see if I can get through it. No.
I rode all the way through it, but nobody else did, so I had to turn around and ride back through it.
Everybody's like, nope.
Nope. So I'm probably going to have to replace my bottom bracket soon because it
creaky
was
all of a sudden.
not so good. But yeah, and then today we had a lab ride, a lunch ride out of the lab that we had.
I wish I could do that.
7 or 8 people that came.
Those are fun.
What time is your lab?
It was fun.
12:30.
12:30. Yeah.
That's what time kids come home.
It was
Get older, kids.
Get older quick.
It was advertised as Zone 2, and it wasn't quite that today. It was a little spicier. than
Everybody's
that.
zone 2 is a little different.
Yeah, that's true. This was Jake's Zone 2.
Spikes. Yes.
And
Different.
nobody
Zone, that's
else's.
just totally different zone 2. That's all. My zone 2 is 500 watts.
So yeah, I feel much better now, and I'm happy to be back on the bike. But yeah, I lost the whole week. Didn't do much.
That
Enough of
sucks.
that.
Yeah. My back pedal real quick. Last week sucked.
Same with Jake and I both sucked last week.
I can't win, you guys. I just keep like one thing after another. Like last week we did the Tuesday gravel ride, and I'm trying to come back on that, and felt okay. Held my own, kind of hung in there with the point into that ride, because it's now been affectionately called the gravel flogging.
The gravel flogging.
Because
we need naming recommendations, because I feel like we can do better than that.
Well,
Gravel flogging.
Yeah,
it's spicy.
Spicy.
There's
I can bring my mountain bike and keep up.
There's no. Just be straight. I get dropped on it every week. There's
does Paul go out there and lays the smackdown on you guys? Good.
Yeah,
Good job, Paul.
But he's not the only one. I mean,
no.
yeah, it's always.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
So we did that, and I was feeling all right after that, and then came out and did the Wednesday lab ride again, the lunch ride, and was good there. But when I woke up that morning, I had this like really tight knot in my back. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I broke my back when I was a kid. I was 14 years old, and I have 2 6-inch rods between my shoulder blades. Thoracic 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all fused together. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. It's something I've gotten used to, and I'll get a back spasm or 2 a year. Usually not that bad. They used to be really bad, and they've since gotten better because I take better care of myself. But it's usually 1 to 3 days. This past week was the 3-day variety, which pretty much had me out for Wednesday evening. That's when it went into spasm mode. So I missed the flogging ride, and then Friday we were going to do the fog hat ride. We've got all these rides now, which is more of a social ride. And I was going to go out and try and do that, and I opted not to. And then it started raining. I'm like, yeah, screw that. And then Saturday came around, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of feeling a little bit better, but the weather was crap. But I'm like, I'm not going to ride in the crappy weather. I'm over that. And I was thinking about doing Zwift. Didn't do that because my wife and I were just like gun-ho on getting a bunch of we've got all these house projects where we're doing like kitchen remodel, we're doing like had all of our floors done.
We should be taking the tour right now is what we should be doing.
I took my own tour when I got here,
and I'm just about done doing a full like landscaping remodel of the whole property that I've been working on now for like 2 years. I'm so stinking close. So I took time to get it all done on Saturday, and like an idiot, I woke up on Saturday. Back feels good. Let's go do all these things, and then by the end of the day, back's not feeling so good. I was supposed to go do a gravel ride with John Hatfield and Ed Dudlick, and it ended up being one of those things where, I woke up on Sunday morning. I'm like, this isn't gonna happen, John. And I sent him a text. I'm so sorry, and it's just not feeling good. Plus, I was up to my eyeballs in doing this backsplash installation in our kitchen, and I told my wife that I'd go ahead and help her finish that. Gingerly, if you will, but we got that done instead. And so anyway, long story short, I missed that ride, and then Memorial Day comes around, and I'm gonna go out and do a ride on that day, and it's nice, but I'm so deep into getting this stuff done in the house. My wife's like, we're gonna finish this project this weekend. So I went ahead and told her, I'm like, all right, we'll get started at like 7:30 in the morning. Okay, we did that, and then I'm like, all right, we need to be done at noon.
Yep.
2:30 rolls around. Son of a biscuit eater. And like I still had my yard work to do, and I allotted that 2.5 hours that got eaten up going over was my ride time, and I still had to get the yard work done before we had family coming over for dinner that night. So I ended up going to doing the yard work, and there just wasn't any time. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to reset in June. So here we are on June 1st.
It's June 1st.
And we did the gravel ride last night,
I will
which was
say
good.
that the yard looks fantastic.
It's coming around.
It looks really good.
Yeah. I like it. I know it's...
You enjoy the landscape.
I really do. I like 4 hours will fly by, and I'm like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And it's like instant gratification, generally speaking. Like you get to see like good results right away. So anyway, that was my week. It was
so basically we have 3 old broken cyclists sitting at the table here.
We need Evan. We need Evan in this podcast.
Kind of fallen apart recently.
we could change the name of the podcast.
I bet people can relate to us. I bet there's people out there who
the
can
Broken
relate
Cyclist
to us.
podcast, where we just complain about
but
how
you
we
guys,
feel.
I'm so close to being done with all of the house projects. My wife keeps saying, "Oh, but we can start doing this. We can do that." I'm like, "Nope, not gonna. Nope. Maybe in like November when it starts to rain, but nope, not this summer. I'm gonna get back on track, and I'm gonna do all the things. And I'm gonna get back to my 10 to 15 hours a week of riding, and I'm looking forward to just having a 30-minute mow and blow session with my yard, and that's all I have to do. So we get back to doing the whole riding and racing bikes thing. So." Good times, good times.
Good times.
Oh, geez. But anyway.
Champ here. Champ Bailey.
Champ is actually in the pop-up studio.
Champ here.
How did you get in the house, Champ? Do you know the code?
The door was unlocked. I just walked in. I didn't even knock.
What up, champ?
All right, so the Giro d'Italia wrapped up this last week,
did.
and surprisingly, Carapaz fell apart on the second to last day.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I was actually, not for nothing, I picked him to win. I was happy he cracked.
He kind of cracked. And it was on the second to last day. It was a mountaintop finish, and it was in the last 2K of the climb that Jai Hundley just kind of put in one dig and then just rode away from him. And then in 2K, he put in a minute and a half on him.
Yep.
So
First Australian in 20 years to win the Giro.
yeah.
Cadell Evans was last, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Sweet.
So good for him. Jai Hundley won it for Bora, which is, I mean, I thought Bora was done when Sagan left,
yeah.
when he took all his party tricks with him, and here they've won the Giro. So that's pretty freaking amazing.
Good for them.
So, yeah, good on Jai Hundley. So that was kind of exciting. Surprisingly, Nibali took fourth. Landa took third. So there were some results there.
Some old dudes.
Yeah.
Old guys can ride bikes, you guys.
Well, those guys aren't as old as us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nibali's not too far away from.
He's only
pretty close to you, Matt. Was he 42?
I think he's like 38.
Is he really that
No,
old?
he's in his 40s, isn't he?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking of Valverde. That's who.
Oh,
I'm
you're thinking of
thinking
Valverde.
Valverde is over 40. Valverde's
Valverde
like
is like-
41.
Yeah. Valverde's like my age.
Okay.
He's
But
ancient.
I'm pretty sure that Nibali is
Nibali's not that old. He's young.
date of birth 84.
Okay. So
Oh,
he's
that's
10 years.
pretty old.
He's
He's
37,
38.
37, 38. Yeah.
That's pretty old.
Yeah, 37.
That's older than I thought.
Yeah. So
Cool.
that's what happened there. The Sister Stampede happened. Mike Ripley had a great event out there. They had rain the day before, and it was much cooler than it is normally down there. But I believe the Landon Farnsworth won the Elite Men. He beat Cody Peterson, who was the defending champion. The Elite Women were won by Emma Marinin. So that's kind of exciting. So it was good. We had lots of teammates who went down and did the race and made it. Scott Carroll won his division in the 50+. I think Mark Locktiff took second in his division in
Good
the
for Mark.
40 to 49s. So that's
So-
the things that I remember.
We've talked about Scott Carroll before. I mean, obviously he's a teammate. He's a great guy.
Yep.
He loves himself some Zwift racing. Do you think that that's a big? I mean, granted, he's a great athlete. He's got a big engine. He can go like red hot for a long period of time. Do you think though that translates really well to the mountain bike racing stuff?
Well, so here's what happens with Scott. Now, Zwift racing, he probably does like 50 or 60 a year.
Oh yeah, no, more than
It's
that.
probably, okay,
It's more than that.
He does it.
I think
maybe
he's already
probably
done that
several a
many.
week.
He's already done that many this year, I think.
So he races a ton. And if
Yeah.
you've ever done a Zwift race, they are hard, fast starts.
Yep.
Then it backs off a little bit. And then like the last 15 minutes are like full gas. So they're not, and they're short usually. They're between 20 and 40 minutes, right? Aren't most of the
Yep,
Zwift
that
races?
sounds right to me.
That's
Yeah.
something like that. And Scott is a master at them. He's been doing it for a long, long time.
Sure.
So when we show up at races, when the gun goes off,
Oh, he just goes.
Scott is gone. He's like gone. He just like bolts. And in the longer mountain bike races, my experience with Scott has been he starts to get reeled back near the end, but he's fit enough that he held him off this year.
Good.
So he won it this year, which is fantastic.
Sisters is more of a non-technical, shallow climbs.
Yes,
Get after just hold big numbers. It's more of like if a roadie were to go to do a mountain bike race
Yeah.
and do well, it would be Sisters, right?
Well,
Power course.
It is. So it's 27 miles. It's only like 2,000 feet of climbing or 1,800 feet of climbing. So it's not a lot of climbing. A lot of the climbing is on double track gravel roads. So you can kind of stick with things. And then the single track sections, there's a lot of single track on it, but it's not that technical. There's only a few technical spots on the single track. So there's not a lot of technical sections. And the single track sections also reward previous experience. So they're very flowy trails that if you know the trail and know where the corners are coming, you can rip it. If you don't know the trail and
Yeah.
haven't done them a lot,
You gotta go slow.
You're gonna have to slow down because you don't know if you're gonna wash out or not. And it's because it's high desert, it tends to be pretty dry. If you get out of the rut, you're gonna wash out.
Okay.
So it favors the local athletes, how should I say, that
Yeah,
ride the
that's
trails
fair.
a lot. Yeah, it favors that, which is why Cody Peterson usually wins because he's from Bend. So anyway, but Scott, he pulled it off, so.
Good job, Scott.
Good job, Scott.
What else does Champ have to talk about?
We got the tour coming up eventually. Is it?
It's a month away.
Is it like July 1st?
And it's starting in, I don't know.
It's usually around that time frame.
It's a month away, and it's starting in Germany or something?
We need to plan our prediction video where we all put our predictions in and come up when Evan puts something ridiculous down. Nibali. He'll probably pick Nibali to win it all. Some Italian he'll pick.
It starts
100%.
July 1st in Copenhagen. It starts in Denmark. So I think there's a few days in Denmark before they'll transfer back to
Interesting.
France. Yeah. So that's what's
I'm so
happening to the
excited.
tour. Yeah.
It's
should
so
be
much
exciting.
fun to watch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Other than that, what do we got coming up? Unbound Gravel is coming up this Saturday. So the second race in the Lifetime Grand Prix Fitness. It's the biggest race of the series, 200 miles of Kansas gravel. They have had...
This is, in my opinion, the gravel ride of the United States, or maybe of the world. Like, this is like the big one, I think.
It is like the big one. It's a 200-mile race. Yeah, it is.
It's the one that you would potentially consider.
Yes. Matter of fact, Peter Sagan, because he was in the States doing a training camp in Utah, he is going out and racing it as well for fun.
What?
But he's doing the 100-mile version, I
Okay.
heard. Not the. There's a 200-mile race. There's a 100-mile race. There's a 50-mile race.
You know, he
also
could do
the
it. He
250.
could do a 200-mile race.
He could. I don't think his sponsors wanted him to. Is his team getting in the Tour de France?
You would have to think so.
You would have to think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he could do well on some gravel stuff like that. Like, it's kind of like classics, right? Like, in some weird way, like, you've got to have bike handling skills. You've got to have that long one-day endurance.
Yeah.
Like, he can do classics.
Yeah, but
So-
he's doing 100.
Knowing that he's got such good off-road bike handling skills, granted, you don't need a ton of it for granted,
Right.
but it still helps. Do you think that it would behoove him to leave the pro tour
No,
No.
now and go race gravel? Because
No.
there's guys that are doing that.
there are guys that are doing
there?
that, but there are guys that are
They're not.
He's not gonna. He's been nowhere in the classics. He's been
True.
nowhere in the
tour.
grand tours.
He's still.
Why
a big
not go
name.
do some of the big stuff and get a name for yourself? I mean, granted, he's making big money,
He's
but
he's already got a name for himself. A, B. Those
Well-
team contracts that he's got. That's bank and sponsorship
about
stuff.
5 or 8 million a year. But yeah, I'm
And I just don't
just
think
trying
that
to think
there's-
of.
I don't think there's that much money on the gravel side of things yet.
not
And
in
I
the
think-
sponsorship side. No, there's not, and he's making
Not
most
in
of
the
his money
team.
from sponsorship and from.
Would it make sense
team
for him
and
to skip a
sponsorship.
few other rides and maybe start dabbling in some gravel? I mean, that's the way of the future.
It
Like,
could
that's
be-
where
it could be a
cycling is going.
It could be a retirement plan, right?
But gravel racing, I hate to say this, it does not even compare to the World Tour at this point.
100% agree with you.
It's
because
not even
it's
close
a much
to
bigger
it.
stage. But yeah,
much bigger stage, bigger sponsors, more money in it.
Numbers wise, you're talking like 1% or 2%
Yes.
probably.
Yes, correct.
There's just not. There's nothing there.
So if you still have a chance to be
Which he
on the
does.
World Tour, then you do that until the chance runs out. I think most of the pros that have moved to gravel were either on the tail end of their World Tour career or
kind of on the bubble.
or weren't quite getting the contract they wanted.
Right.
And so
You gotta
that's
think
why they turned to gravel.
The
Or-
range of those contracts are pretty massive, right? Like, you know,
Yes.
minimum contract. I'm just going to make up some numbers. It's probably, $90,000 a year or something like that. And then the upper end, right? Like $5 million a year, whatever it is. And so you've
I
got,
think Pogacar is at like 6 million. I think
yeah.
is what his
So,
yearly.
so you've got
salary
this
is.
massive range. And if you're on the bottom range of that, you can go make that money doing gravel and you might have more fun doing that.
True. But the World Tour is in Europe, and most of the gravel racing is in the United States. Well, that's not really true. There's gravel racing everywhere, but
but
it's.
I mean,
the bigger races are in the United States right now.
In this Lifetime Fitness tour, that seems to be the biggest thing right now.
It is.
I think.
Yeah. It is. It's been a good thing for gravel so far. So.
And I do see that I see it growing, but it's got a long way to go before it's world tour status or anywhere close to that. It's even if it was like cyclocross, it's just very different than those races.
Yes. So,
but stay tuned to the Dial podcast. We will talk about it.
We'll talk about it
over and over again.
So it should be interesting to see what happens. It will be shown on Flow Sports Live. If the coverage sucks as much as it did at Sea Otter, I wouldn't expect a whole lot.
I actually wouldn't expect much either because here you are in the middle of Kansas, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
200 miles. So what are you doing? Bouncing, video off of satellites to get some sort of live
They're
coverage?
not going to have a follow plane like they do in the World Tour that
what are you gonna
relays
do?
the signal. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. And
have Billy Joe Bob with the overalls. Remember that guy? You just give him a cell phone camera and have him stream it out.
It's been raining.
The guy from Arkansas, you remember him?
Yes, I do. It's been raining terribly in Kansas this week, and so some of the roads are unpassable at the moment. And
unless you're Lance Hepler.
That's right. I can ride in 15 inches of water, no problem. And there's some creek crossings that look a little treacherous, so we're hoping it dries out a bit before Saturday.
I'm not.
This happens.
You want it to be
nasty,
spicy.
Racers. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Okay, good. Oh, wait. In triathlon news, there was a race in Victoria, the Victoria 70.3.
Okay, yeah, we do need to talk about that.
I actually don't know who won the race or whatever. I don't know if there was any. I don't think there was a pro field, but we do have some amateurs.
We had 5 or 6 teammates.
The Dialed
that went up
Triathlon
there.
team was there. Cassie did really well.
Cassie did well. Evan's fiance.
I want to say she went 5:49, but I'm probably messing up the time. So
sure.
So that's fantastic.
Such a strong athlete.
Scott Macbeth did well. He hasn't done a 70.3 in a long, long time. So good that he.
John Hoffman was there.
John Hoffman.
I didn't actually see how he did, so
I have no idea. But
he's such a good
there.
person. These are good people.
Yep.
There's your terrible report on the 70.3. Sorry. I'm sure we missed somebody.
Good job, team.
Well, yes, we did.
Sweet.
Other than that,
Scott Goodrich also did really well.
Scott Goodrich is there. Not a teammate, but a team lover.
We love him.
Friend of the team.
I think he broke 5 hours.
Lover of the team.
I assume he broke 5 hours. We'll say that.
Cool.
Good job, people.
Champ out.
Thank you, Champ Bailey. Okay, boys. You ready here?
Ready.
What are we talking about?
We don't know.
No idea.
This is actually funny. Lance and I just sit down and start podcasting. We don't even know what we're talking
We
about.
don't even know what the topic is.
Choose your own adventure.
Your own
This is not the hot seat. This is just choose your own adventure. I've got several different topics here. I'm going to throw them all out there, and then you guys can pick the one that you want to talk about.
What if Lance picks a different topic than I pick?
Then maybe we can do 2.
Oh, okay.
So the first one, we're going to talk about the Tour de France. All things Tour de France. And I've got some sub-questions there that we don't need to get into yet, but that's option number 1. Option number 2, Unbound. Unbound. Again, sub-questions. Number 3, why has the World Tour racing gotten so fast? Option number 3.
Drugs.
And option number
yeah, for sure.
And option number 4.
These cyclocross people keep coming into our sport.
That one's done.
Option number 4.
Done.
Good old N+1.
Oh.
When's the time to get another bike?
What's the next bike?
Sub questions, you guys. Sub questions.
I like N+1. I think that's fun. Because I would be curious to hear what you guys want next because you own a bike shop.
Yeah.
You own a lot of bikes.
Yes.
And I'm you got money to burn, man.
You're always like, you got no time and money to burn.
That's exactly how. That's always how it is, right?
It's
always how it is. Like when you're working a lot, you have so much money and you don't have any time, and then all of a sudden, consulting, right? You don't have a job, and you're like, I'm gonna go bike every day.
Okay, so Matt wants to do N+1. Which one of those?
We'll do it all.
No, well, we'll do N+1 for Matt. Lance, do you have one in there that you want to talk about? Was there one in there that spoke to you?
Unbound seems timely.
Yeah, it
Seems
does
timely.
actually.
There is that. It's coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
So All right, let's talk about both of those, boys. How's that sound?
All right.
Which one do you want to start with?
Unbound.
Unbound. Okay. Here's my question. Convince me and yourself to go do Unbound.
Oh,
You have to convince yourself. Why would you go do 200 miles? Convince yourself.
Like a hard 200 miles.
It's a hard Chris
not-
Surratt. We know Chris Surratt.
We've done
friend of the
done
show.
200 miles
Patreon. Yes.
This is totally
But that was
different.
on road bikes, cushy,
Yep.
smooth, about half the
Flat
climbing.
and easy.
Yeah. I mean, that was 9.5 hours of like pain and suffering, but it was not the same kind of pain and suffering. To go out there and do Unbound, it's 200 miles. What's the elevation gain? It's over 10,000 feet, isn't it?
Chris
I
Surratt's
think
going?
so. No,
Something
he
like-
did it last
did
year.
last year, okay.
Yeah.
So Chris Surratt is an absolute diesel, hard-ass, tough-ass mofo. He
Yes.
just go out there and gets it done. He doesn't complain. He doesn't. He just
never heard him complain in his
never,
entire life.
just another
Yes.
race. After that race, he's like, that was the hardest damn thing I've ever done in my life. And you could just see his face. You could see like, oh my gosh, that hurt. And if you're going to hurt somebody like that, it's like, it's somebody who prepared for it too. That's tough.
If I recall, I think the winners do it in around 10 hours, 9.5, 10 hours is about the winning time.
Ridiculously
So like
fast.
7
And I
days
think-
for me.
And I think Surratt was around 13 or 14.
Oh, wow.
His goal was to get back before the sun went down, and he got it by a sliver.
Okay.
Oh.
So I don't know what that equates in time, but I think it was somewhere around there, like 13 or 14 hours.
So
That's crazy.
We know how hard that is. Convince yourself to go do that. We all know that Lance has already said it a million times. Like, I don't even want to do the 100-mile routes. I want to go do the 60, 75-hour guard
There's
varieties.
they have a 100-mile race and they have a 50-mile race. I'd go do the 50-mile race.
That's the kiddie race.
It
And
is
then
the
there's the
kiddie
junior
race.
race, and then there's the big dog race. And then there's the crazy mofo race that's going to go out there and do the 350 miles.
Okay.
There's the
Oh, yeah, that
XL,
is crazy.
The XL that's 350 miles.
Okay, so here's the I have very few arguments for anyone to do this. But if this race is going in the trajectory that it looks like it's going, which is it's going to be a legendary race, and you could tell your grandkids about it.
Street cred, baby, for the grandkids.
It's probably the biggest, most popular gravel race in the world. So the fact that you can get into the race, because I believe there's a lottery to get into it. It's not like you
not
can just
easy, yeah.
sign up.
It's going to be harder and harder.
Yeah, it's going to get
into.
harder and harder. And I mean, to check that off your life list of cool events that you can.
Is it on your
do-
bucket list?
No, it's
It
not.
kind of is, though.
Well,
It kind of is. It's alluring in a
it
weird
it
way.
It is alluring to have
Because it's-
experienced that because it's such a big race. It's probably, I'd venture to say, the most popular bike race in the country at the moment.
I kind of wish they hadn't changed
Name
their
another
name.
race that would be
trying
more
to think.
popular than
I
Unbound.
can't think of anything.
Is there a road race that actually would be more popular?
No.
Maybe Tulsa Tough Crit. I mean,
I mean, the Tour of the California was kind of
that's
up there,
done.
but it's
It's
done. It's gone. But
Yep.
even in that,
or
I
the
don't
Tour
think it
of
has.
Utah could have been, but that's done and
Yeah.
gone. So so there's that. I mean, to be part of the biggest, most popular race in the country, that's
that
alluring.
draws internationally.
Yes, and the fact that Joe idiots like us could
Theoretically try,
yeah.
line up right behind the pros and ride the first 5 miles with the pros until they drop you.
Yeah.
So I mean that's alluring too. That's what's alluring about gravel racing, or because you don't get that in Grand Fondos. There's like no.
What
no
do I do
pros.
to convince you to go do it?
Just do a couple 200 milers
You know,
with them.
if there was a group, if there was a group of 5 or 6 teammates that we
Training
all
for it.
decided
Peer
we were going
pressure,
to do
yeah.
it, then yeah, I would do it. If we made a commitment to like we're going to do this together as a team,
Yeah.
we're going to stay together. When somebody gets a flat, because somebody's going to get a flat,
We stop together,
We
pit
stop
crew it.
together, pit crew it. We have our own pit crews. We have our own like Sherpas,
yep.
SAGs that help us all when we come into the
They
feed
kind of
zones.
allowed that, don't they?
It's actually, I think it's required, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
I think you have to have somebody at the feed
Is
zones.
that new? That might be new.
It might be new. I know last year you
'Cause I feel
had
like-
to have a SAG person.
I feel like
How many
2
people
years
get
ago
in?
You didn't.
2,000, 3,000, somewhere in there.
I think it's like 3,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a lot of sag support to have out there on course.
Yeah, but it's the middle of nowhere, Kansas. There's nothing out there. The town of Emporia, it's like,
Is there even hotels or anything?
I think there's a couple, but I mean it's a tiny little town in Kansas. It's not. I mean, this is like the biggest event in the region.
Wow.
Because it's really in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, if we had a bunch of teammates that were going to go do it and we were just going to like chug along and have a good time, that would convince me to do it. But to do it, for me to just go do it, no, I don't have an interest in
Hard
suffering
pass.
for 15 hours.
Okay, so we need people.
I'd
We
need
support.
people.
What about the training process? That's the part that seems like super arduous to me. Like that's a pretty big dedication. You need at least a good 6-month training block ahead of that to get prepped and ready to go. To be able to, I mean, you could probably finish it and be just fine with a 3-month training block, but to do well and to like go out there and say I gave it my all and to put up some decent numbers, you need at least a good 6 months.
Like the first 5 hours, I hate to say it, the first 5 hours are easy.
Yeah.
It's the last 5 hours that is absolute torture.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you can manage, what you can handle on your own. I don't know.
There's a cyclist who's new to the area. He's recently moved here. He came out and he did the flogging ride with us a week ago or a week and change ago. And then he came out and he did the gravel ride with us last week. He didn't come out this week because he's tapering, but he came out to just meet some new people, ride with people, and he was riding on a gravel bike with some giant balloon tires on there.
Yes.
And nobody had met him before, and then connected with him on Strava. And I took a look at some of the stuff he's been doing. My God, this guy, he's doing this all on his gravel bike, riding out all these roads, riding like 100, 115, 120 miles. I'm like, what are you doing? So we got to talking the last time I saw him. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm getting ready to go do Unbound. I'm like, oh, good on you, man.
Yeah, wow.
He's going out all by himself, doesn't know another soul out there.
He's just
gonna go
roll it.
Roll it. Yeah, we were doing like all this bike prep for him this week. He brought it into the lab and we did a bunch of stuff for him. But I'm like, that's pretty stinking cool that that you got the ability to go do that, got in, and then the thing that just kind of blows my mind is you're going to do that by yourself.
It would take a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people in it, so you're probably never really totally alone.
You'll make friends,
but it's gonna stretch out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first time I did SDP. Granted, it's 206 miles. It's not the same as going out and doing Unbound, but I went up there and did not know a soul, didn't know a single person, and lined up at like 4:30 in the morning. Saw a couple people around me, and swiftly dropped them, but. In the first 50 miles, I was riding at a particular pace that I wanted to hold, and blown by all these people. And next thing I know, I look back and there's like 6 or 7 people behind me, and like I guess they liked my pace, and then kind of like elbowed them through, like, hey, you guys can take some pulls too. And there's several of them, like we ended up riding the entire thing together.
There's that ride is, I think, very different than Unbound, where you have this like everything changes after that first 100 miles in Centralia.
Yeah.
It goes from like, there's people around to you have the few people that are willing to work,
Yeah.
And it's a very different, but I think Unbound, first of all, I think you're out there 3 times. I mean, it's a lot harder.
It's a long race. So, but what else, Matt, what would convince you to go out there and do Unbound?
No, I mean, similar to Lance, I mean, if a group were training for it, I think that, it would be...
Triathletes unite. Let's go do Unbound.
With your aero bars.
Hey, gravel aero bars, man. It happens.
There are races where aero bars are allowed.
A lot of the gravel races.
A lot of the gravel races.
Allow it.
I'm not sure if Unbound allows it.
Now, I think that I can fit maybe some 26s, 28s on my TT bike.
It's not good enough.
It'll work on the gravel.
No.
I'm pretty sure it'll work on Unbound.
It's not good enough.
No, it's similar. It's a similar vibe to a triathlon where it's like, we're going to do this thing. You put in those long weekend workouts and you do those with your buddies and you're doing 100-mile rides and it's hard. Or, of course you're swimming before and running afterwards. Yeah. There's some long days that you put in. I think that would be the way you would want to tackle it for Unbound. I think it'd be amazing.
I know that if you said, Evan, I want to
Oh,
go.
Evan.
I want to go do Unbound. I want you to do it with me. He would say it like he would say yes before he even got done asking the question.
Yeah.
He would
I
say it.
know you're
So
right, but I just feel like I feel sorry for Evan. Feel sorry for him. Like, don't do that to yourself, Evan.
You tie a rope to his seat post.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And you just get a nice or a bungee cord or something like that, so it's not like super jerky, and you got yourself a free ticket.
There
man.
you go.
That's true.
Better than an e-bike. You just shackle yourself
Yeah.
to that
Price
horse.
faster.
Crack the whip on
He
him.
actually would probably that because I'm guessing that it's not as technical as some of the other things that he's taking on this summer.
He's doing the Telluride 100 mountain bike race.
And I just think like for him, he is a grinder. He is a tough mofo and he is a grinder. And so I think a race like that might be good for him. Although he's dangerous. Like he could hurt himself.
Yeah, you'd have to temper his, we'll say his enthusiasm for the race and wanting to go fast and have him understand that.
Look at your powers numbers and don't go over
that
whatever
just-
XYZ is.
Here's the thing: you got to have your front wheel wash out 5 or 6 times before you realize where the line is.
Yeah.
Because if you're like trying to go fast, your front wheel's going to wash out at some point, and you eventually learn. I mean, I haven't had my front wheel wash out once this year, knock on wood, because you kind of learn where the line is. But you got to go down a bunch of times to figure that out.
Oh,
So
no thanks.
And he hasn't done that yet.
Well, he has on the roads on his TT bike.
Yes, he has.
Doing a time trial, the Jack Frost time trial. Evan crashed his TT bike.
That's right.
We
love you, Evan.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know that I would want to stick with Evan on that ride because I think he would get excited and go for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So basically, you guys are both saying that misery loves company.
misery
Yeah,
loves
that's what I'm
If
company.
you got that company, then you're going to go out and be miserable and do it together.
I even got invited to come this year. I was visiting Yuri Hosvold at his home. He's convalescing from a broken leg, and he's a former winner of Unbound. He was one of the first winners. I think he won in like 2015. He won. Yuri Hosvold won Unbound, and we were visiting him. He's like, "You got to come to Kansas," and I'm like, "I'm not doing that stupid tour."
Well, it might be one of those things where you go and you do the 50 miler or the 100 miler, whatever it is, and you enjoy the party and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then the next year you're over. You are donezo because you're going to be thinking about doing the 200 the rest
Right.
of the year.
Yeah.
But it seems like a cool atmosphere, right?
Yeah, definitely the atmosphere is going to be cool for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
So no doubt about it.
Yep. Why are you guys looking at me?
Because what would it take for you?
That is a really good question. I really don't have any desire to do anything that length right now, just because I know that
14 hours. I mean, come on.
all I think of is like how much my shoulder's going to hate me after that. But
Yeah.
it's like, all right, well, what
it might
what could-
fall apart at hour 10. And
maybe-
then what?
Maybe, I don't know.
Or it could fall apart.
Brandy, come pick me up in
Yeah.
the van, please. I
Yeah.
mean,
It could be that, but let's just say that doesn't happen. I think that it would be really cool. What would make me excited about it is if somebody could document it. If somebody could go out there and do like filming and interview us through the whole process. Hell, if we could even do a podcast while we were doing
could be
it. I mean,
interesting.
if we could make it some sort of way to kind of pass the time. And then I'd have to go out there without aspirations of like, I need to finish in this time, or I need to go this fast, or I need to beat these people. Like
It's a finish thing for sure.
it's a finished thing. And I know that like once I got out there and once I got going, I would click into that mode.
Right.
But leading into that, the whole preparation process is just to finish, not to go out there and crush.
right.
So,
Yeah.
and I know that I've done STP twice, and again, not the same thing.
But neither of those were just to finish, to be honest.
no, those were to go out there and see, like, let's see if we can get like the
let's go.
fastest time. The first time was like, let's figure this out. Let's go fast and manage this time. The second time was like, let's beat everybody at this thing. And we pretty much did.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that all of us, our group all finished within 30 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
Well, probably even more, like 15 seconds of each other. And we were the fastest times in the first finishers, and they weren't even ready for us. And that was a good feeling. Yeah, right. Now, I don't think I could ever, well, I know I could never do that, maybe for age group at some point in time if I trained, but I don't know. But I think to document that, just to have something to look back at and see like what the whole experience was like, because you kind of get into the mode of like, while you're doing these things, of you just tunnel vision, things that like the hours start to fly by, you start to miss everything. And if someone could like actually document that and get the whole emotional process, something like that might be kind of fun. That would be something that would, it's not a vain thing. It's more of like, I just want to like have
it
the
gives
ability
a different
historical
focus.
reference.
Exactly.
Yeah. I believe the vegan cyclist is going to do it.
Sure.
But he's doing the XL. He's doing the 350-mile thing.
That guy. What are you
And
doing to yourself?
I think, he's had some big... He does
He's
these
done some
impossible
crazy stuff.
routes.
Yep.
Have you watched his impossible route?
Only one, I think, but they're really well done.
They're really well done. They're like hour and 20-minute YouTube videos that he has edited himself. They're really quite
but they're
good.
filmed well.
But they're filmed well. And I wonder if he's going to try to do some kind of filming with this.
No doubt in my mind. He will have to. I mean, he's not going to do anything and not film it. That's just the way he is.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, he's doing the 350-mile one, and he's been.
But honestly, some of those rides that he's done in the past year are going to be that hard. That as difficult, or maybe more difficult. Gosh, some of those rides are like going up these weird, lava mountain field things that are just rocking. I mean, I don't even know how he rides it.
Yeah, his latest one, this West Texas Impossible route, they had set out this route. Him and Jeremiah Bishop is his partner that he does this with, who's a former pro mountain biker, and he's also in the Lifetime Grand Prix Fitness. He's one of the athletes,
and he's better than Vegan Cyclist. I mean,
yes,
in like bike handling skill set kind of things. So.
But he developed this route in West Texas, and they ended up, there was 3 or 4 sections where there were no roads, that it looked like there were roads on Google Maps, and there were no roads. So they were hike-a-biking through the desert.
Jeez.
It just didn't end up very good. But
it's like they're just trying to hurt themselves.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Some of those.
That's why it's calling a possible route. They're trying to do something that just seems like it would be impossible. So
mission accomplished, I guess.
So yeah, I think he's going to film it. Yeah.
Then the one other thing that I could do to see myself making this happen is my plate is so full right now. It's overflowing, and I feel like I'm actually like not doing a good job at all of the things that I should be doing, whether it be from the team to work to home to family to like all of the things. I just don't feel like I'm doing a very good job because too much stuff is spilled over. So I'm trying to do my best to try and lean that down and get it really more focused and concentrated so that I can have more time. Like when I think I missed like 6 hours of riding last week. It wasn't the end of the world because I got other things done. So, and that actually kind of felt gratifying to get some of those things checked off the list. But for me to be able to train for that, I need 15 hours a week. I don't have 15 hours a week right now. Yeah. So if I could find something to alleviate some of my schedule, some sort of way to like pass things off to people or know that things are taken care of, or to get the blessing from home that you can go do this, then I think I could start to focus on that. But if it were to be right now, and you're like, hey, you got to start training now, and you can go do this in 6 months. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I can barely get on the bike for 8 to 10 hours a week right now. Barely.
I think a commitment like this would take too much away from your family. Unless
you would have to sell your family and your kids.
You'd have to sell your family and your kids. I think it would take too much away from your family.
Use that money as your entry fee.
There you go.
I'm assuming you're getting a good price on your family.
Yeah.
Use that money for the entry fee and you're good. You got it all figured out.
Yeah,
so if I could figure that part out, then that would be another like selling point. Because if it were like just time, and like all I had to do was just invest in it. Like if I were Lance Hepler, I could go do this.
I've thought about that too, where it's like I would have to not make videos that take up all this time, and you can't, when you don't sleep at night, you can't train that very well.
You'd have to give up. You'd have to give up part of it.
You kind of have to give it up.
Yeah. Hey, Nike, sorry, buddy. Just I got to put you on hold for a little while. Hey, Sam, I can't go to your swim meet this weekend, buddy. Sorry.
Oh, man, so many swim meets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kristen, you got to run the family for a while.
Yeah. She knows.
What's the thing? For me, yes, I have all the time in the world to train, and I realize that I really enjoy a certain amount. And if I'm doing 20 plus hour weeks, week on week, or 25-hour weeks, it's like I quit enjoying it as much.
It's like having dessert
too
for
much.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes.
It's like dessert's great, but not for
Yes.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like there's a happy point in it. And I think your happy number is about 15.
It
And if
probably is, yeah.
You go over that, you're like, yeah,
And
too
I
much.
I love my life is great. Don't get me wrong. I cannot complain about my life at all, but I don't want to do more than 15 hours a week because I enjoy the other things that I'm doing with my wife and my family and my kids and the traveling and the stupid rocks I look at. I mean,
I love it. I think it's perfect.
I enjoy that stuff. So I don't know.
So when are we gonna go do Unbound, boys?
It's not looking good, Jake.
I just
not
said I
looking
guess
good.
never.
It's not looking good.
All right, so we can't convince ourselves.
Let's do the
to
50.
You know
Let's
what
go
we can
do
do?
the 50.
We do the 50.
50.
And we can watch. You can watch the other one.
And we just sit there at the end and watch those
drink
Ecclesagon
hitters.
and
Yes,
drink
roll
beer.
in.
Yeah.
drink non-alcoholic beer. You wouldn't even like that.
I wouldn't even like that.
We could drink whatever monster drink you drink.
I just drink Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi.
All right, moving on. All right, N+1.
Topic number 2.
I've got a couple questions here. What is your current N+1? And for those that don't know what N+1 is, the number of bikes that you currently
How
have
could
is
you listen to
N
this podcast and not
plus
know what
one.
N+1 is?
Well, there are some people out there. Everybody
Okay,
needs
so
to learn, and not everybody's born with this info. And N+1 is the number of bikes you have plus one. So what's the bike that you need to add to your quiver right now, Mister?
I don't know. That's why I need your help. That's why I need the help of the podcast.
You need a gravel bike.
Yeah, I do.
You need a gravel bike.
I do. I need a gravel bike. So I have a time trial bike that's broken, which is a perfect bike
It's
to put
fantastic,
on.
yep.
Put on the bike trainer and
Yep.
leave it there forever.
Sure.
Got that bike.
Yep.
I've got a mountain bike, which is great,
Yep.
and I've got a road bike, which is fantastic.
Great. Got it.
So I think a gravel bike or another time trial bike would be the next possible purchase.
How soon before you're actually out there doing triathlons again?
Oh, I mean, if my Achilles feels okay, I could potentially try and do one at the end of the summer. And
Really?
I could so I'm thinking I could like swim and bike and walk, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a
5K
speed walk? Do you have a speed
no,
walk?
No, it'll be a slow walk.
Swim, bike, speed walk.
It'll be a limp. It'll be a limp, so it won't be fast. 5K is a long way for me to limp, and that's like the shortest, triathlon that you can really figure out. So I'm totally thinking about like, oh, maybe I could, do that, and that would still be fun for me. I wouldn't be going for places or times or anything.
Are you missing triathlon right now?
So there's a race that's coming up this weekend, the PDX Triathlon, which
Yep.
kind of kicks off the triathlon season for our particular area.
Sure.
I'm not missing it, to be honest. It's not like I don't feel like, oh no, everyone's going to go do this triathlon and have fun. Like I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'll go out there and film something.
Sure.
Just, see my friends and stuff and film some things. I just have to think of like,
Lou Hollander. We got to find Lou Hollander and interview that man
we
about
could do that. That would be
He's-
hilarious.
his 90-year-old sexual habits. Is what
Yes,
he talked to us about.
we're a little low on 90-year-old sexual habit YouTube content.
So we need to find Lou.
If you could fill us in, that'd be great. That was the best interview ever. I still need to figure out if I think I lost that footage. I don't think I have it.
Probably.
But he's probably doing great. And, so but there's no like desire to be like, oh, I really wish I was racing. I don't feel that.
Is there
yet.
anything like any discipline like you're like, I really wish I could get back? Like running was your jam, and it still is your jam. Do you miss like just any kind of running events? Is there something that you're missing there? Is there one part of
Okay, so there's not. I mean, it's been so long since I've been like a competitive runner. The thing that I miss right now, and the thing that I like think about is like, oh, what'd be cool is the local turkey trot with your family or stuff like that, where it's like I want to be able to just go do the events and participate.
Yeah.
And so that's a hope or a goal, or even if I have to walk, like whatever, like that's the dream. So I'm way far away from the like competitive side of things. And I think, I could always get competitive in, swimming or, or biking or whatever it is. But like right now it's just like so hard to think about because I'm so far away from that. Like biking hard would hurt my Achilles. Even swimming, I can't kick correctly. So it's not going great. To be honest, but that's okay. Like I'm still happy to be able to just do stuff.
yeah.
And like I love making the videos. Like I'm really enjoying that. I want to be able to, show the stuff that I like to do, swimming in the open water. Like I just posted 2 videos, and one of them has like this open water swimming footage, and it's just beautiful being out there on the lake. And the weather's getting currently pretty decent. The water temperatures are good in the area, so you can go do open water swimming.
Oh, just wait until Friday.
What's going on Friday?
Oh, the weather's going to go.
Weather turned to crap again.
It's supposed to rain all weekend.
But I mean, so maybe I should try and sneak in a open water swim or something tomorrow, just because like this is our time. We get this usually we get a block of decent weather where you can swim open water and do some cool stuff, and then it actually gets too warm and you don't want to swim in the water. It gets a little bit crusty. We'll just say crusty.
Crusty.
Yep. But I mean, you were doing all that stand-up paddleboarding last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, by this time last year, we had already gone out 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And so far, I mean, this past week we probably could have gone out, but back spasm. And the lake was packed.
Yep.
That's what I was told. So
you could go do Fallen Leaf Lake. There's no one there.
Yeah, we can probably go out there. But we'll get back out there. And I absolutely love that. I love the rowing. I love the stand-up paddleboarding. Those are great.
I'll swim. You stand up paddleboard.
Maybe you can come out. We can go join the row team out there at Vancouver Lake.
Ooh. Yeah.
You don't have to use your Achilles for that.
No. Just row.
Row your boat.
You're all in on the rowing.
I sure am.
Over there. That's the thing is like, we have all these other things that we can explore. You and I are obsessed with like the filming stuff and we love it, but like you're going to get into rowing and it's just a cool sport.
We're obsessed with it, but only one of us has time to get it done, kind of.
I don't know. Or sleep, one or the other.
I'll get up a video for Lance and me and the channel sometime before October. So just as long as it doesn't get to a year.
Your channel's doing great.
It's funny because we haven't posted anything since October, and we're like, people are subscribing to our channel all the time. I'm like,
they like you guys. It's easy to like you guys. I think that's the key is like, be likable online and people will follow you. And if you're not,
I would hope that we're relatable at some point. Like we're not
look at your
check out these 2 doofuses. These guys are
just like that.
Idiots. They'll subscribe though.
I'm going to subscribe to that mustache.
That's funny. Mr. Lance, what's your N+1 right now?
Well,
Mr. I got all the bikes and all the things.
There's one bike that I am missing that I have kind of.
Wait, hold on. Let me try to guess because I have no idea.
There's a bike that I'm missing that I would like to have.
I am a very competitive person.
Stop.
It's a triathlon bike, TT bike.
I do not have a TT bike.
Doing certain things.
What are you motivated by, Lance?
Being a triathlete, trying to be the best
triathlon. You want a TT bike? Triathlon. Triathlon.
Let me guess. You got it's not a road bike. It's definitely not a TT bike. You got a good gravel bike. I mean, you could get the newest gravel bike, right?
Well,
you don't have that.
All of my bikes could be upgraded.
You could upgrade.
But that's not what we're talking
you
about.
have 2 cyclocross bikes, right?
I do.
You have a good pit bike and you have a good
I
race bike. So I don't think it's a cyclocross bike. Mountain bike
What's
is
a new
little
mountain bike. Is that what it is?
Mountain bike getting a little long in the tooth?
It's not my current mountain bike.
Fat bike? I cannot come up with it.
Do you want to hear?
Sure.
It's a downhill bike.
What?
Yeah, okay.
Like a more of a trail bike, not a cross country mountain bike. Something
more squish, huh?
More travel, more squish, more a little heavier.
Like more than the 4-stroke LT, or did you want to go more like
I don't know. I mean
like a 160 or something like
the
that?
The 4-stroke LT I could still race cross country on. It would be fun to have something that really had a lot of travel that I could just rip descents on.
Maybe a BMX bike.
And that's the reason why I don't want it.
Yeah, because you'll kill yourself.
Because I'll kill myself.
Let's not let that happen.
I mean, like you go to Moab and having like a really good long travel suspension bike just makes everything like just funner, just smoother. And
you could probably like
funner.
go to Whistler and rent one of those and
Yes.
just absolutely trash it.
So it'd be fun to have
take care of it.
something that I could just rip descents on and roll over stuff that I'm always cautious about because I've only got 130 millimeters of travel on my cross country bike. But I know that if I got something like that, I'd
hurt yourself.
I'd hurt myself. You do because you take more chances. You roll over tougher stuff. You know.
Let's just say you're not a little spring chicken, okay? Let's not go.
I'm a broken man.
Let's not take you to no trips. If we could just avoid the trips to the hospital.
I don't want to go.
What happened to Lance? Oh, he snapped his back in half downhilling, going off some big drop.
Exactly. So I don't need that.
Yeah. We're too old for that.
So downhill bike, huh?
So downhill bike.
Interesting. I would not have guessed that.
What would you have guessed? I have everything else.
Well, your mountain bike, you've put a lot of. It's seen some things.
My mountain bike has seen some things.
Yeah.
I would like another cross country
There's
bike.
a rumor on the streets that a certain bicycle brand that we might be familiar with might have a new
that is
full
interesting.
suspension offering. I'm say coming out this summer, maybe.
I'm
possibly.
patiently waiting to see if there's something around.
So I need to
the
sell
bend.
my bike, buy
Yep.
your next bike,
Yep.
and it's just like
Yeah.
keep passing things
Yep.
down. We'll just have like
Sloppy
this, like,
seconds.
Little,
Yep.
We'll just kind of have this like little
We do need this.
whatever you want to call that little downstream effect.
There you go.
I like it.
Cool. Anything else that you would want to see in your quiver? No.
What about you, Jake?
The
new-
if you'd asked me a week ago, I would have given you an answer of what I want, but I've kind of fulfilled that.
Oh, what happened?
I bought a new bike.
Gravel bike?
Ah,
The new
yes.
It's not a new bike though; it's a very old bike.
It is a classic
Is it a beach cruiser?
piece of art is what it is. It is a beautiful, completely restored, very old bike that just needs to be hung on the wall and admired.
Correct.
That's what he just bought. What is it?
It's a 1950s Bianchi. It's a
cool.
classic road bike, and it's a bike that I've been keeping an eye on for, 7 months now.
Yeah.
It was originally posted in October, and I've been keeping an eye on it. I had
Down
no
tube
idea.
shifters?
Yes.
Is it like
Down
okay.
tube shifters, like lugged.
And you said 1950s?
Yes, it's got a Brooks saddle on it with the copper rivets.
Is it in the garage?
No,
at
it's down at the lab.
Okay.
It's got a.
Because I am totally interested in
It's
checking
got
this
a
out.
metal bottle cage with a metal bottle that hangs off the front.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful.
That is a gorgeous bike.
So I've been keeping an eye on this bike, and when it was originally posted, I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna. I'd never pay that much for that bike. It's beautiful, it's great. Kudos, Chapo. You did a fantastic job restoring the bike. And then I've just been kind of searching around, and Paul even knows. He's been like looking around for bikes for me, and I really like the old Bianchis. I think they're a beautiful bike, and they've got a lot of history to them.
Yes.
And he's been looking, I've been looking, and I really wanted to be able to roll these out. And one of the things that we're going to be doing at the lab is we're going to start doing classic bikes. We're going to start restoring some classic bikes, and we want to have a classic bike thing because in the wintertime, things slow down a little bit. Granted, we stay really busy year round for whatever reason.
There's a YouTube channel where they actually don't talk about painting bikes, but they need to start talking about painting bikes.
Huh.
Quapface too?
Yeah.
Have you heard of I don't know, maybe you've heard of Quapface?
Yeah.
I know it's Quapface, but then Quapface 2.
Yeah.
So, so
The original Quapface was a bust. It didn't work
total
out.
mess.
We had to revamp.
Quapface 2. And so, having like a guy like that could help like painting and restoring
Possibly
classic bikes could
So,
be really cool.
The thought process was, and Paul and I have been talking about this for a while, because he's got a little bit of experience there, and his dad actually has done a few bikes, and it's something that we wanted to kind of introduce to the lab. Granted, we're kind of known more for performance bikes, but we wanted to have this other sect of bikes that we could potentially offer to folks. And so we wanted to have this whole classic things where we could like kind of start to focus on it a little bit more in the wintertime when things are a little bit slower. And I've been looking, and that's when I stumbled upon this bike, and again, too much, and been watching it, and so on and so forth. Well, fast forward to about a week ago, and I just went and looked to see if the bike was still available. I'm like, oh, they dropped their price. And I'm like, I wonder if they need some money. So instead of a thing, and by chance I looked, and I'm like thinking, all right, how much am I going to pay for shipping and all that other stuff, and it's going to get damaged in process. And I looked, and it's like, oh, if you want a little bit better of a deal, and you can pick it up locally in Portland. I'm like, Portland, what? And I'm like, this is awesome. So I reached out and said, hey, here's what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm willing to offer, and this is what's something that works for me. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay, sweet. Wow. So I went over there and looked at it, and it checked out, and it was all that in a bag of chips. And said,
have you ridden this bike?
No.
This is a showpiece.
It's a showpiece right now. It's going to be ridden, though. I don't want it to be something that just sits up on the wall. And one of the other things is we do our Fog Hat Friday social ride, and I want that to be kind of like the Friday Fog Hat ride, social ride, or a Sunday cruiser kind of thing when I want to go out and ride with my family, and they can all be on bikes and going fast. And I'm just going to Take it easy, slow ride.
My father-in-law has like a 1981 Lotus.
Yeah.
And it is so much fun to ride. I ride it every time I go to visit him in like rural Michigan.
Sure.
And we're taking this thing on like gravel roads and stuff. And it's like, I don't know what the tires are, 18s or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Super tiny.
And it is so much fun.
Yeah.
It is, and we go hard because there's like this group in Ionia. It's this small town in Michigan. Like this, I'm like part of this like cycling group that's there, and so I just go and hammer with this group of people, and I'm always on this like super old bike. It is a lot of fun.
Sure.
But it's also not that comfortable to ride those bikes, to be honest.
That brick saddle's pretty comfortable.
Is
I
it?
just sit on it. Yeah.
I wonder. It could just be that like changing some position stuff around or whatever.
It'll be a bumpy ride is the thing because of those.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in Michigan,
21
I'm going to
millimeter
take
tires.
some. I did a video on this bike a couple of years ago, and I'm going to remake a similar video because it's just kind of cool to have these classic bikes that would need a little bit of restoring, but not
Yeah,
much.
I think it's kind of funny. It just helps tell the history of bikes in general. And there's a lot more to the story behind this bike, but I think it's a pretty cool thing. And to have it come out and just be something that you can show people and explain to them, like, this is what bikes used to be like. And, let's say that, somebody shows up on a brand new whatever, you can show how much progress it's made over the course of time, but you can still have that throwback. And
you can still rip on those bikes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's something about like putting power into the bike, into the drivetrain that hasn't changed that much, to be honest.
Sure.
It's got a 5-speed
cassette
on it, and I think the biggest gear is what, like a 18 or something. It's not very big.
But here's the thing, like if you get it where it needs to be gearing wise, like other than that, there's just not that much different in bikes.
Yeah,
like it's still like bearings and wheels and bearings and there's just not that much. Yes, bikes have come a long way. In a lot of ways they haven't.
I love it.
I'm super
It's just
excited.
fun.
I think it's cool. Yeah, I think a video would be.
It could be fun.
Yeah, let me know if I can help.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And I think that aside, I think that for me, I need to figure out a way to be able to ride a time trial bike. I need to be able to make it work for my shoulder, and I need to be able to go out there and do some time trialing because that's kind of my jam. And the Eddie Cat class is fun, but I think to go out there and strap on all the aero stuff and get on a fast TT bike and maybe start traveling around and going to all the local time trials. I think that's something that I need to look into because I think that's something I can do decently well.
Can you like answer me this? Like if you were to like do a plank, would that like just destroy your shoulder?
No, it's not. I mean, I've been doing. I haven't done them in a little while, but when I get into the habit of doing them, I can still hold them for 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and be fine. And I have to work up to that. It's just sitting in that position for a prolonged period of time. And when I'm doing a plank too, my shoulders aren't nearly as narrow, so it's something that probably I would have to work on bringing them in.
Your position doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, it just needs to be in the ballpark, better, right? And then the other thing is like usually in the wintertime, you may only be able to go 20 minutes in that aero position or 30 minutes. And then by the summertime, you can go 2 hours. And so it's just a matter of like, progressing just like any sort of other, muscle building process.
I just remember doing the team time trial that we did that Lance was on, puked all over himself.
I got dropped and then I puked on myself.
And I just remember though that it was a pretty long TT. And I was probably, how many miles was it? Was it 28?
It was an hour.
40 kilometers.
Yeah.
And we were probably 18, 20 miles into it, and the wheels just fell off my shoulder. I ended up having to be on the horns, and I couldn't get into that position and be, out there contributing. And it just kind of sucked, and that pissed me off. And I haven't wanted to get back on one since, but I still know in the deep of my heart that's something that I probably should be doing. So that's,
you can always see how that goes. You can borrow the Trek Speed concept if you want to.
Oh yeah,
if you want to hurt yourself.
Oh yeah. N+1. What about like an e-bike or a cargo bike or a cruiser?
Absolutely.
Do you guys want any of those things?
Yes and yes.
Some e-bike company might be sending me a bike. I don't know if they're really going to do it or if
really.
So we emailed back and forth, and they were like, "Yeah, we're sending you a bike," and I'm like, "I'll believe when I see it." This is like a temporary thing. They're going to send it to me, and I'm going to return it to them after a review.
What kind of bike is it though?
I don't know.
Is it road, mountain?
It's like
gravel,
commuter e-bike.
Okay.
Or it's supposed to be. They call it like a city, a city e-bike. I'm pumped. I would love to, like, e-bikes are so much fun. We've all ridden e-bikes here.
Sure.
They're a
I
lot
have
of fun.
nothing against e-bikes. I love them.
We all love them. You know, I think, you know what e-bike would, I think I would want more is like more of like a cargo style e-bike, because you could like go and do things with it. Like go to the grocery store, go to the
functional
Yeah.
hardware
a little
store,
bit more
the grocery
functional.
store.
Yeah.
Throw some
like go do
panniers on
things.
there.
If the weather's decent, you know, I'm always like going back and forth to the pool, and I'm just thinking like, oh, I could just e-bike this.
Yes.
Or, I mean, I could bike it or
Were
run
you
it.
with
too.
me when we were riding? I think we were up on McGilvery, and there was a guy riding. It looked like a cargo bike, but he had this full, like, you know, like a truck that's got like the things in the bed with that they're putting like ladders on top of, and it's like the full like skeleton system. He had something like that built on his bike, and he was cruising down McGilvery, and we were riding back.
so.
Were you with me on that?
I think so.
And
yeah.
I looked at that and went, "What the hell?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, that's actually kind of cool. I wonder if that was an e-bike, and I wonder if he takes that thing to Home Depot and gets himself some 2x4s and some PVC or something like that. I mean,
Well, I would want an e-bike that would somehow fit me and my wife.
there you
know what I
go.
mean? Like you
Right?
need the like really adjustable.
Yeah,
It doesn't
So
have to fit perfect. but-
Lance saw the e-cargo bike that came into lab on consignment.
I did. I rode it around the
Yeah.
the parking lot.
So you want to tell the story of that thing? God, talk about a freaking bike.
It was like extra long, right? It
Exactly.
was-
So what it was is there was a step through specialized bike, looked like a women's bike, a little bit of a step through, and they took the rear wheel off, and there's an adapter piece that went on it that was basically extended out and gave it the cargo
like
thing.
3 extra feet long.
Exactly, and that connected to where the old wheel was, and then they put a super long chain on there, and then they turned it into an e-bike as well. So it's got this big giant battery. The front motor was in the hub of the front wheel, and then it's got the
How
some
does
sort
how does a person like that who clearly like rebuilt this bike into some sort of crazy bike?
It's a
also,
kit though. It's a kit that you can buy to do this.
But then they were like, I need help from dial cycling. Like, what do they need help with?
Yes. Hey, it was actually a lady. She's like,
okay.
What did you do with that?
she came into this thing and she's like, I have no idea what to do
she
with this.
came into
I
it.
don't
She
want it.
didn't
I have
make it.
no idea what it's worth.
Oh, gotcha.
And so she brought it in. And I'm like, well, we can at least like take a look into it. And so I did. I did all the research on it. And you know, the front of the bike wasn't worth all that much. The back piece of the bike was something that you could buy new for like $600. And then there
I was going to say
the
$2,000 easy.
There was the e-bike portion of it that was probably another $400 or $500. I mean, the front bike new was probably $600. So like brand new, you're probably $1,500 to $2,000. I'm like, it's maybe worth $600 or $700.
Oh, I feel like those e-bikes are usually pretty expensive.
But it was used,
It was
and,
just-
and so
it was
things.
in a
But
Frankenbike.
it worked fine. It worked great. So, you know where it's at now? Paul bought it.
Shut up.
And
Did he really?
He rode it at the Fog Hat ride last week that got canceled, and people still showed up for. But he's going to use it to commute to work.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but it's got these cool bags on the back, and it's got this little like thing for a kid to sit on and hold on
Yep.
to, and
That was the ride I took.
Yeah.
Paul was he was riding it, and
was driving,
I
yeah.
was sitting on the platform.
Oh, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Just laughing hysterically
So-
while Paul was riding me around. Paul actually bought it.
Cargo bikes though. I like Matt. I every time I see them, I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
I want one.
I have always wanted a cargo bike, but we don't live in the right neighborhood. It's just way too hilly for us to.
But if it was an e-cargo bike, it was legit like nice e-cargo bike was on a
And then
cargo bike frame.
And our kids are getting too old to like commute them around on a cargo bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My youngest would sit on there. My oldest would hit me. My
Yes.
Barrett would sit on there and laugh and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I don't know. But just the thought of having a cargo bike is kind of cool. But an e-bike would be awesome to take like camping.
Well, like if you follow DC Rainmaker on
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
it's so much because he lives in Amsterdam where people don't have cars. I don't think he has a car.
No, they don't.
And so all they have are
He has-
cargo bikes.
He has two big cargo bikes.
Two big cargo bikes that they go to the store in, and he goes to ship stuff in and picks up extra bikes and bike trainers and hauls them back with his giant cargo bike. But again, it's Amsterdam. The infrastructure's there. It's been, the city is built for it. So pretty interesting.
So e-bikes, yes, from everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Cargo bikes from
you
everybody.
you have an e-bike.
I do not.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
We had one that we played with from the lab, but
Oh.
somebody bought it.
Okay.
Yeah. We just,
My bad.
I was
I thought
putting
you had
temporary
stuff
toys.
in the lab.
Stealing. We call it stealing. Yeah. So all of us,
stealing.
and want one where Kristen could go on an
Sure.
e-bike and we could go do, like, if I want to climb hills, like she can come do it with me
you,
or whatever.
yeah.
So
What about a cruiser? You guys need a cruiser in your life? A beach cruiser?
maybe. I mean, for the trip to this pool, it would be great.
Yeah, or if you lived in Sun River
Or
down by
if
Bend.
you live in Sun River, yeah, absolutely.
I don't need one here.
Yeah,
No.
I ride those things, and I don't need one in my life. I mean,
always
they're
feel
cool. If I live
frustrated.
down at the beach, yes, but where we live, no.
Yeah.
I think what
never get used.
we all want is a bike with a lot of slack to it, right? Where it's just like, I'm just gonna go cruise,
Chill, yeah.
And that doesn't have to be a beach cruiser. It could literally be like a gravel bike with a lot of slack, and we would still be happy if it was a plush. You know, you've got plush wheels on it. You've got a little bit of give to it, and it's a comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
I think what we're all looking for is like a comfortable ride,
Right.
And I don't even think that beach cruisers are that. They're not that comfortable.
No, they're just what they sell in beach towns because
They're
somebody started, and they're
upright.
and they're cheap, and they're upright,
Yeah,
and they have a big old springy seat.
something.
Very cool. Anything else you guys want to add to the N+1 topic conversation?
No,
Does everybody need an N+1?
Yep.
Do you think everybody should own at least 2 bikes?
Yeah.
I think everyone needs bikes, and I think everyone who drives should be required to have biked for some period of time.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some strange folks out there on the road right now. We've run into a few of them already this year, but
Yeah, we have.
cool. All right, well, let's call that a wrap on the Choose Your Own Adventure.
All right.
Choose your own adventure.
That was kind of fun. How about one last thing, Matt? I'm gonna let Matt go first because he's always got things
so
right
easy for me.
He's always like triple watched up. And
I've got 2 watches on
14
currently.
videos coming out. Yeah.
I have currently have 2 watches on, and I have
Hey Matt,
2.
what time is it?
No, I don't know. These watches don't tell time.
Oh, okay.
But I've got 2 watches on, and I've got 2 videos talking about each of these watches. They are the new Garmin Forerunner 955, which is their top-of-the-line triathlon bike. Brand new video came out today or late last night. And then the new Garmin Forerunner 255, which is actually an interesting watch because it's a lot more affordable than the triathlon watch. And it also does triathlon. It actually is a very capable triathlon watch, which is crazy. So they're basically going to slim down the whole Forerunner line. Like, this watch basically does everything that the 945 used to, and it does it really well, probably better than the 945. I mean, it's missing some things, but it's a pretty capable. Like, if someone was like, I'm thinking about buying a triathlon watch, I'd be like, yeah, this is an easy, or if they want like a nicer triathlon watch, then yeah, sure, go for the high end 955, but you don't have to have it. This is very functional.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Did they flush LTE down the toilet? Is that done? They kill it?
No. So the Forerunner series that are left are the Forerunner 55. So that's like entry level. That's a $200 watch, which is still kind of expensive for entry level. And then they have this one, the 255, which does everything. Triathlon does everything you need it to do and more. And then you've got somehow they've got the 945 LTE, which is still sticking around. And then you've got the 955. So I don't.
Interesting. So they didn't kill. They didn't add it, but it's just going to live in the fort.
So they've killed the 745. They killed the 945.
They killed the 745.
Yep. Which is weird because it's a pretty popular watch.
We still have some down at the lab if you want to buy them.
Well, all that stuff is on
deal.
mega sale. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the good thing from Garmin is that they are selling all these things. They're, people are going to be able to find good deals on them. But the 945, and the weird Garmin's so weird with that LTE. It's they haven't offered LTE on the Phoenix or the Epics or like I was like so sure that they would. Like, that's just a no-brainer, and they just didn't do it. And then they come out with this 955 and the 255. No LTE. Like, they only have one watch with LTE services, and Garmin has rolled out this huge infrastructure for LTE, or partnered at least with this infrastructure for LTE. So, like, what are you doing, Garmin? Are you going to scrap it? Because, like, if it's one thing if it's like, okay, this is an experiment that went poorly, we're going to scrap it. And they just, I don't know. What are you doing, Garmin? No one understands what you're doing.
Did it go poorly, though? Are people enjoying that? Are people, I mean, we've sold a fair amount of those, but I don't know of anybody that's actually using it.
It's like, I think a lot of people like the watch and they just don't connect the LTE services, which is fine. You can do that. I just don't know.
Is there a big difference between the 945 LT and the 945? I think you've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more feature rich, or
it's like it's got like a new optical heart rate monitor. It's just got like a couple little things that are different.
Gotcha.
And it's slightly different sized. It's just slightly different than the old 945, and it has all the LTE features. So it's weird because it's almost like a, what would you call something between a 945 and the 955? Like they call it the 950. Like it could have been called something slightly different, but they didn't. They just went 945 LTE. It's just weird that they haven't rolled that LTE out to more options. It makes no sense.
So you know all of the watches intimately well.
Yes.
Price isn't a factor here. Which one, if you can only keep one and you had to wear it as your daily driver, which one are you going to keep?
Maybe the Epics.
Yeah.
I mean, so the Epics, the screen is just it's a nice screen. It's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful screen. It's nice and I love the way that it handles like. This sounds really dumb, but it's like the little things, right? Like the sleep mode.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't wake you up at night or whatever.
No,
and
it's not bright. It's
a lot of
black.
times. Yeah, and a lot of times, like you'll raise something like in the middle of the night, and like this watch with a backlight right there
Yeah.
lights up,
Retinas,
and you're
yeah.
like, I don't know. The Epix does a really good job of managing how bright the screen is. So I really think that that's an excellent option. I think it is. I wish that it had the same battery life as a Phoenix, like 3 weeks, but it
That'd be
doesn't.
awesome,
That's impossible, right? Like I also want
could they
world peace, but
build solar into that somehow and make it last at least a few more days?
You get, you might get an extra day. You just don't get that much from solar, especially here. So, yeah. So anyway, so maybe the Epix. This 955 is a great watch, but I don't think it's better than the Epix. It's very similar. I would call this like a plastic Phoenix.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
With maybe not quite as great battery life. So, but it's lighter weight. So
Sure.
if that's a thing for people, if you want a lighter weight watch, then the 955 makes sense.
You started wearing the Epix recently. What do you think of that thing?
I actually love it. I've switched from my Apple Watch Series 7 to the Epix.
People have a hard time giving up the Apple Watch.
It just meshes so seamlessly with
what you're doing.
your iPhone,
yep.
and so there's a lot of things that are just really easy between an iPhone and an Apple Watch.
Yep.
So that part is really good. The battery life is the worst part. It has to be charged every day.
Yeah, that was no deal.
And so I switched to the Epix. I don't know what 3 weeks ago or a month ago.
It's been longer than that.
Yeah, just to kind of see if I like it, and I love it. I love the fact that the battery lasts for 7 days. That's like
I know.
fantastic.
Yeah,
you should try something like a Phoenix that goes like 3 weeks, or an Enduro that goes a month. There's a Coros Vertex that goes like 2 months. You just never charge it. You just forget. You're like, I'm gonna lose this charging cord because I never use it. But whatever.
Yeah, I think the only thing I don't like about the Epix is like there's certain features that you can set up on the face, and if for some reason you close out the app on your phone, then it can't go and retrieve that information. Like I'm supposed to be able to see what the temperature is outside, and it says now, and it says ...
Yeah, it's
Womp,
like it
womp,
needs
womp.
that connection to your
Yeah,
phone.
so that part kind of sucks that it can't keep that constant connection, but I get it. I just, for whatever reason,
a lot of that's on Apple. Apple is a pain in the butt to work with for watch companies.
Oh,
so it'd be kind of neat if it were able to like kind of jump from the phone to Wi-Fi to cellular to something like that, just so that it can at least go
keep that connectivity.
Exactly. That would be kind of cool, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to take that feature off because you can set your home screen up to look and feel however you want.
Do whatever you want.
You can put different metrics in there, and I'm just going to delete that because it's, I don't know, I can just look at my phone. I guess if I have to turn my phone on anyway, I might as well just use that to see what the temperature is. So kind of cool. Cool. Well, I still haven't had a chance to watch your video on the 955, but I will be checking that out.
Yeah, 2 videos. They're
and
the 255. I do like a little intro with Kristen running.
Okay.
I kind of like it. I kind of like some of my, like that's what kind of stuff I like to film, like the little intros and things like that. Yep. 955. I think did some weird stuff with some water dropping things, and I did some open water swimming, which is cool. I like the part of that video. So
you're swimming in a bucket in your cul-de-sac again, or something like that.
That was funny.
My daughter was over at her friend's house, who is Matt's next door neighbor, and she's like, sends me text. Matt's doing some really weird stuff in the cul-de-sac right now.
Walking around the cul-de-sac, dunking his arm in a bucket. Because I was simulating open water swimming for this Wahoo watch because it detects what event you're doing. So, but some cool videos to check out. Some fun stuff coming up.
Sweet. Yeah, there are quite a few things coming down the pipeline.
A lot of fun stuff.
fun to talk about those. Mr. Hepler, what's your one last thing?
My one last thing, June 4th, this Saturday is my 28th anniversary. So happy anniversary to Brandy
28.
Hepler for sticking it out with
28.
me for that long.
That girl deserves like a cake.
She does. It's been, I'm super blessed to have Brandy in my life. She's been a great partner
She's an
for
amazing
me.
person.
And she's an amazing person. And thank you for being there for me.
How long you been married, Matt?
I don't know. Seems like a long time. Seems like a long time.
I don't know. Hopefully, good thing she doesn't listen to the podcast, right?
No. We're good here. Oh man, I don't know. It's been, I think we're like 14 years or something. No,
Okay.
it can't be. It's gotta be longer than that because Ethan's almost 12. So gosh, it's
Been a minute.
yeah. So what year is it? 2022. Good gracious, man. I think we're on maybe 16 years. Something crazy like that.
16
Oh,
years.
that's cool.
Oh, that sounds like a long time. It feels like a long time. I feel sorry for my wife.
It's a lot of videos.
Well, yeah, the video stuff is kind of new. The video stuff is fairly new to all of this.
Love it. Cool.
How long have you married, Jake?
We're going to be on 18.
18.
Yeah.
Oh,
Our
that is
20-year
so long.
Our 20 year is the same year that my oldest graduates from high school, the same year that I turned 50, and we'll have 20 years. So we're going to go do a little European thing.
I think.
Supposedly, that's what my wife's
Are you
planning.
going to go to Spain?
Oh, we're going to go to Spain for a little while, see Maria. Yep,
Yeah.
and then go do a few other things while we're over there. She's already started the whole planning process like 2 years ago.
Cool.
That's cool.
Our 10-year anniversary, we did a bike trip through the Icefields Parkway from Waterton, British Columbia, all the way up to Jasper, Alberta. So we did a week-long bike trip together for our 10th anniversary. Super fun. Our 20th anniversary, I think we went to Europe as well. We went to Norway and Finland and Russia and Germany.
Oh,
and
wow.
We did
I should plan something big for 20 years.
Fun.
That would be fun.
You should. She'd appreciate that. This has been Marriage Talk.
Marriage Talk.
I think I failed marriage talk. I'm like, I don't know.
Love it. Cool. My one last thing is this Sunday, the day after Lance Hepler's 20th anniversary with Miss Brandy Hepler. We're going to be doing a ride out in Washougal. You want to come ride with me?
I can't hang with you guys through the hills in Washougal.
Going to go easy, my friend.
I'll probably come then.
Be the 4-year anniversary of getting hit by a car, so we've got to go do that
Yikes.
same ride. So that's what we do. But that probably shouldn't be one last thing. That's kind of
What a downer.
It is a little bit of a downer. So how about this? How about something better? So by the time that our podcast comes out next week, if I don't have a video up talking about that damn Garmin radar that came out, if I don't have a video up by then, what is my punishment? What do I have to do?
You have to do shots of tequila with Lance.
Ooh, I might just have to be late on that just
Wait
because.
a second.
Lance will
Only
take
if there's a worm.
Only if there's a worm. That's right.
I got your worm.
That's no stinking worm. No, seriously though, we got to get that video out because we've already got it all framed and we've already
recorded.
done B-roll. We've already got it all ready. We just need to sit down and actually do the talking head.
We
but
need to
we've
do
been
the
so
talking
stinking
head part.
busy.
That's
So
hard.
Look for a video to come out, and it's going to be kind of crappy weather this week, and so maybe we'll have some time to get that
All
done.
right.
But we will have to go out and do that ride in Washougal, but I'll get that video.
All right, done.
So cool. Anything else, boys?
That's it.
This was a
Thanks
fun,
for having us.
fun little podcast. We will
was.
be back with another one next week. We do appreciate everybody listening. If you guys want to check out more about the Dial Podcast, you can go to dialpodcast.com and see all the Patreon stuff. We're going to do a Patreon drawing next week. Did you know that?
All right.
All right.
Now you know. So anyhow, we will be back next week with another one. And until then, bye for now.